Hello, civil services aspirants, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a really fantastic governance success story. We're talking about how India managed to untangle this incredibly complex web of approvals for digital infrastructure. It's a game changer.
So that's the big question, right? How do you take a system that's just pure chaos and turn it into a national success? We're going to break it all down using a powerful analytical framework, one that you can literally use directly in your exams.
Here's our roadmap. We'll start with the problem itself, the RoW logjam. Then we'll apply that ethical framework I mentioned to see the dilemma at its core. After that, we'll get into the strategy, the data-driven impact, and finally, a blueprint for governance and your key exam takeaways. Okay, let's get into it. All right, first things first. This is the E in our ethical framework. Examine the context. Before we can even talk about the solution, you have to understand just how big of a problem this was. At the heart of everything is this term right-of-way, or ROW. You know, it sounds simple. It's just the legal permission you need to lay down fiber optic cables or put up cell towers. It's the absolute foundation for building our country's digital highways. But for years, this very foundation was completely gridlocked. And when I say gridlocked, I mean it was a mess. Every single state, sometimes even every single municipality, had its own set of rules. The costs were all over the place, the approval process was painfully slow and manual, and there was just zero coordination. This directly put the brakes on huge national projects like the National Broadband Mission. And, well, this number says it all. By December 2021, you had over 71,000 applications just sitting there, completely stuck in the system. I mean, think about that. Each one of those is the potential connection, a business, a school just waiting. It was a massive nationwide logjam. Okay, so let's move to the T and H of our framework. We need to test the values at play and highlight the core ethical dilemma. What was the real conflict at the heart of this mess? This quote from the new leadership in 2021 just hits the nail on the head. It shows a huge shift in thinking. The government's job isn't just to regulate, it has a fundamental duty to enable. The value being tested here was public service itself. I mean, what's the point of giving someone a license if the system makes it impossible for them to actually do the work? And this right here, this is the core ethical dilemma. On one side, you've got the urgent national goal, connect India and do it fast. On the other side, you have state and local bodies, rightly protective of their own procedures and their own autonomy. It's a classic case of cooperative federalism under stress. How do you balance national progress with local control? That was the puzzle. So how did they solve it? Well, there was no single magic wand. It was a really smart, systematic strategy. This brings us to the I and C of our framework. Integrating new frameworks for action and citing the legal instruments that gave these reforms some real power. Now for your exam, here's a great way to remember the main pillars of the reform. Just think PLIDS. It's a simple way to recall that policy, leaders, integrated, digital, stakeholders. Let's break down what each of these means. So first, the policy part. This wasn't a sudden change. You can see a clear evolution here. It started back in 2016 with the first attempt at rules. Then came these key amendments that mandated digital systems and brought down costs. But the real knockout punch was the Telecommunications Act of 2023. This was huge because it finally gave the central government the power to enforce a single nationwide RoW policy. But hey, laws alone aren't enough, right? They built a whole ecosystem around them. A dedicated NBM directorate was set up just to monitor this problem. They created a clear escalation path so tough issues could go right up to the Prime Minister's Pragati platform. Then came the digital tools, the GatiShakti Sanchar Portal, a single window for all applications, which brought in massive transparency. And the CBUD app, or Call Before You Dig, a brilliant idea to prevent accidents. Okay, so we've got new laws, new institutions, new technology, but the big question is, did it all actually work? This is where we get to the A in our framework, assess the actions. And let me tell you, the data is just, well, it's compelling. Just look at that number. An 80% reduction in the backlog? Remember that horrifying 71,000 number? In just 8 months, it dropped to under 16,000. This wasn't a small change. This was a complete transformation. It shows you the incredible power of a coordinated approach. And it wasn't just about clearing old files. The whole timeline changed.
A process that used to drag on for more than 300 days could now happen almost in real time in the states that got on board with the new digital system. That's a shift from months to moments. Just imagine what that unlocked. And the impact wasn't just speed, it was money. A lot of money. That simple call before you dig app we talked about, by preventing accidental damage to those critical fiber optic cables, it's estimated to save the country about 3,000 crore rupees every single year. That's a massive economic win from one smart digital tool. So the results are obviously fantastic. But now we come to the L in our framework, which is maybe the most important part for all of you, learning the lessons. What makes this whole thing a replicable blueprint we can use to fix other big governance problems? Here it is. This is the model you need to remember. It's what we call a whole-of-government approach. You need institutional clarity, right? A dedicated mission. You need transparent digital tools like the GatiShakti Portal. You need to monitor everything with data. And you need that strong escalation path to show it's a political priority. This isn't just a telecom lesson. It's a template for tackling any big infrastructure challenge. All right, let's wrap this all up and distill it down into the most critical points you need for your exams. Think of this next slide as your high-density revision guide. Okay, this is your money slide. You've got the ethical framework, the PLIN's mnemonic, all the key jargon you need to know, and the core themes. But what will really make your answers pop are those data points, citing that 80% drop in pendency or the 3,000 crore in savings. That's what shows you truly understand the impact of these reforms. So, I'll leave you with this thought. We've seen how this powerful combination of strategy, technology, and political will fixed a massive national problem. As the future leaders and administrators of this country, the question is, where do you apply this incredible blueprint next? Thank you for joining this explainer.